There's a force out there that shapes our entire social world. It's this judgment that's happening all the time, constantly. And a lot of the time, we don't even realize it's there. So, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on this invisible judge. I mean, really think about that for a second. Every single thing you do, from the tiny everyday stuff to the huge life changing moments, is instantly put on trial. What kind of world would that be? Well, the unsettling answer is that it's the world we're already living in. Now, we're not talking about some formal legal judgment here. No, this is something way more pervasive. It's social, it's constant, and believe me, it is powerful. It's that silent assessment happening inside the minds of literally everyone around you, your friends, your family, your coworkers, even total strangers on the street. And here is the absolute key to all of this. The system that governs this judgment, it's ethics. The best way to think about it is like an invisible architecture, right? It's standing right between what you do and how the world sees you. And it doesn't just guide your choices. What's even more important is that it shapes how everyone else understands and interprets those choices. Okay, so this is where things get really, really interesting and honestly, a little unsettling. Because this whole system of judgment, it's not consistent. Not at all. In fact, it's built on a pretty massive paradox. Get this, the exact same action, the very same thing, can be called heroic by one group of people and completely immoral by another. Just think about a whistleblower, right? Or a revolutionary. To some people, they're a hero, a total legend. To others, they're a traitor. The action itself didn't change one bit, but the verdict, it's complete night and day. So this brings us to the central question, doesn't it? What is causing this massive shift in how we see things? If the action itself stays the same, what changes? And listen, this isn't just some abstract philosophical puzzle. This has very, very real consequences for every single one of us. We see this play out on the world stage all the time. During wars, political upheavals, big social movements, all those clear lines just start to blur. You look at people who are being oppressed or people who are fighting back, and all of a sudden your own internal compass just starts spinning. You start asking yourself, who's right here? Who's wrong? Am I on the right side of this? So to even begin to answer a question like that, we have to dig a lot deeper. We've got to go right to the source. Let's explore where these powerful invisible rules actually come from in the first place. Yeah, so where do our values actually come from? Is it something that's just, programmed into our DNA? Or is it something we soak up from our culture? Or maybe it's something we just invent for ourselves? This whole debate has been at the very heart of philosophy for literally thousands of years. When you get right down to it, the whole debate really boils down to two opposing ideas. On one side, you've got the belief that morality is just born with us. It's a natural part of being human. And on the other side, you have the argument that, nope, it's a human invention, something we created. All right, so let's unpack that a little. The first theory, it basically says we all have this built-in moral compass, just a natural sense of what's right and what's wrong. The second theory, well, it's a lot more cynical. It argues that ethics are just a system, a tool that people created, and that tool can be used by the powerful to keep control, or, on the flip side, by the powerless to try and protect themselves. Now that completely reframes the entire debate, doesn't it? Because if ethics are a tool, then they're not necessarily about some grand, objective good or evil. They're about function. They're the gears, the laws, the traditions, the social pressures, all the things that keep the massive, complex machine of society from just grinding to a halt. Of course, that first idea, the one about an innate moral compass, it has really strong ties to a lot of world religions. The idea that some divine force puts a sense of morality inside of us from the moment we're born. And you can see why it's a comforting thought, right? It suggests there's this universal, unchanging standard for what's good. But this brings up a huge philosophical problem, a really deep one. If our moral code is basically pre-installed, then how much of our choice is actually our own? Are we just running a program someone else wrote? This idea, it flies directly in the face of our whole concept of free will. So, how in the world do we put all these pieces together? We've got the paradox of judgment, the question about where our values even come from. Well, it all comes together in one really powerful metaphor: a courtroom without walls. This is it. This is the idea that ties everything we've been talking about together. In the end, every single action we take, big or small, it enters this silent courtroom. it's presented as evidence in this never-ending invisible trial. A courtroom that doesn't have a building, doesn't have an address, but it's everywhere, all at once.
And who are the judges in this crazy courtroom? Well, they're the huge, immense forces that have shaped all of human history. You've got society, which sets the norms. You've got culture, which gives everything context. You have religion, offering up a moral framework. And then there's power, which, let's be honest, often gets the final say in writing the rulebook.
And here is maybe the most crucial part of all. The verdicts handed down in this courtroom, they are not permanent. They are constantly being appealed, constantly being overturned. Actions that were once seen as heroic are now considered barbaric. Beliefs that were once condemned are now celebrated. The rules of ethics, they're written in sand, my friends, not in stone. So all of this, it brings us right back to ourselves, to you and me. After exploring this paradox, the origins of our values, this whole idea of a courtroom of judgment, there's one final question that we just have to face. And it's a big one. It's a question that doesn't really have an easy answer. It's one you kind of have to carry with you. So, are we truly acting according to our own values, or are we simply following the ethics that the world has written for us? When you make a choice, and you're sure it's the right thing to do, is that really your voice you're hearing? Or is it just an echo? An echo from all those judges in that invisible courtroom? That's the question. And the answer? Well, that's yours alone to find.